I know that in hospital they asked me some questions about family history of asthma or eczema when recommending a formula for Thomas.
Yeah.
Is there any major differences between the formulas, or are they all fairly similar?
The cow's milk formulas are all fairly similar. And really it's just about the one that suits your baby, and babies like us all have different tastes. So you might find one of the cow's milk formulas he enjoys more than another, but they're all made to strict standards, so they're all perfectly fine for your baby. However, some babies can have an intolerance to lactose or maybe even the protein in the cow's milk, and there's often a family history of that. So that's why they ask you about a family history, about eczema and asthma and other types of rashes. And if that's the case, then we watch really carefully to see how your baby responds. And if it looks like your baby's not coping with a particular formula, then you seek some advice from your child health nurse or your GP or your paediatrician and talk about a different type of formula that might be more suitable to your baby. It's important not to just switch formulas because you think it might be a good idea. It's best to sort of seek some advice before you do that, because it may be that your baby doesn't need a different formula. There might be something else happening that it's better to find out first. Does that answer that question?
Yeah. And what would be some of the indicators to look out for that perhaps that formula?
Sometimes babies they might be sick, like vomit, be grizzly and upset. Sometimes they will get eczema, and eczema can start fairly early. Those are the sorts of things: skin problems, tummy problems, and then you might check with your GP or your paediatrician or your child health nurse, and they might suggest that you try a soy formula or even just a lactose-free formula. And because if it's just lactose, and that's the sugar in the milk, then that can be just a bit upsetting. And often babies settle down, but it's important to find out if that's exactly it.
I guess going on that too is how important is my diet with breastfeeding? Like if I eat lots of chocolate in one day or have coffee or things like that.
It's like any of us, no one should eat too much chocolate and too much coffee. And really what you need is a nice balanced diet. There's a lot of discussion about whether what we eat affects our baby. And certainly what we eat does kind of have an impact on the smell of our skin. And some people believe that it can affect the taste of the milk. The jury's out, I think, on that. But I think it's really important to eat just a well-balanced diet, not too much of anything, and that should be fine. But if you do notice that you eat something and after you eat something your baby seems to be more unsettled, then you can try not eating it and see if that makes a difference. And really, that's all you can do. I think these things are a bit like what works best for you and your baby. And as I said, there's a bit of a discussion about that. The jury's out whether that actually affects your baby, but certainly too much coffee, too much Coke.
So that will go through the breast milk?
It's not so much going through, it's the effects of the caffeine. That's what affects your baby. So that will make your baby a little bit more irritable. So anything with caffeine is probably best to avoid too much of that, normal amounts of it. The same as we say, you shouldn't have more than 2 cups of coffee or 2 cups of tea. Those sorts of caffeinated drinks are probably best kept to a minimum, and you drink plenty of water because that's what you really need when you're breastfeeding. You need to keep your fluids up.
Yep. And what about controversial? I know during pregnancy they say no alcohol, but breastfeeding, can you say time it?
We say it's probably better to just remove alcohol from your diet while you're breastfeeding. But, if you're going out, I guess one drink, a standard drink, is probably okay, and that you time it so that it's after a feed, so you have time for your body to clear the alcohol. Or, as you suggested, if you have more than that and you don't want to feed your baby, having the express breast milk is a great way to avoid it if altogether. But like all people with alcohol, it's really important to drink, in moderation. But it's best with your baby to just avoid it if you can and not expose them to alcohol at this point. Because their brains are growing so quickly, we need to ensure that we have, optimal conditions for brain development. But having said that, brain development really occurs not through diet, but through the way we talk to our baby, gaze at them and interact with them. That's how your baby's brain grows, through a really sensitive, enjoyable, loving relationship. Just like you're doing now. All that lovely eye gazing. That's what babies need. That's what helps the baby's brain grow.